Hey everyone, welcome back with G.M.Mac. Today we are once again playing RagDas' virtual pro wrestling Salvo ROM hack for WCW NWO Revenge, which is playable on N64 hardware. The main premise is that he added back cancelled characters like Ric Flair, Wrath, and Fake Sting, added in WWF guys including The Rock, The Undertaker, Stone Cold, Shawn Michaels, and Mankind, and finally, RagDas added running grapple finishers, which was also a cancelled feature from Revenge. As you can see, I am going to be playing as Ric Flair here, who unfortunately, he just didn't make the game in 1998 due to contract issues, and he really wanted to leave WCW, I believe, at the time, and his contract wouldn't let him do that, so very tragic. We could have had Ric Flair during the Attitude Era, and that would have been pretty awesome. That said, though, if I could be serious for 1 minute, I want to address something. I usually save these for the channel updates, but I figured I would update it here since it relates to Let's Play content. I feel like in the last month, especially my Let's Play stuff has been lacking. I feel like I'm repeating the talking points that I have in the past. Most of it comes from OCD with me worrying if I've covered every single detail I wanted to say on a particular topic, and I end up repeating myself over and over again. It's that same feeling you get when you're in like an argument or a debate with someone, and then afterwards you think about the stuff that you could have added to make your point stronger or some sort of great comeback, but it's already too late since the conversation is done with. So I'm moving on from repeating talking points for future videos. I feel like it got really bad in like the last month or so, and although I'm never gonna script my Let's Play content because that would take the fun out of it for sure, my goal is to have every episode have a specific topic or a theme from this point on, and I plan on starting out my videos with the question of the day at this point instead of the end of the video, so that hopefully more of you fellas will engage in the comments. I love hearing you guys' opinions and talking in the comments, so it's not just a whole thing of like upping my engagement and stuff like that in the comments. Some of the most fun I have is it's usually on my Aki Sunday videos, in which people really they share their memories with the games, they share questions if they have any, they share things to remind them of specific matches or the time period of wrestling and all that sort of stuff. They share matches that I should watch at various points, and that's the kind of stuff that I love to hear about. And I love talking with other wrestling fans because obviously in real life there's a big fan base for wrestling fans, or I should say there's a lot of fans in wrestling, especially back in the 90s, but like I think it's not often that you meet them in real life at this point. So talking with people over the internet about this kind of stuff, the obscure Aki games and stuff like that, it's definitely something that I love having my channel for specifically. So like I said, share your feelings and opinions in the comments below if you want to, or any thoughts, so we can debate or chat about the games that we love. Even if you're just someone who usually watches or has my videos playing for background noise, holla if you hear me, it'd be appreciated. With all that stuff out of the way, though, I do want to bring up the fact that my recent Aki videos have done very well as of late, especially my recent comparison videos, which have been the two biggest Aki comparisons on my channel, which is awesome, since I kind of honestly thought that my series may have it definitely lost a lot of steam since February. I was used to, my whole goal was to get at least 1,000 views on those ones in particular. Those are kind of my I guess you would say my baby series, my top guys, my main eventers. So I kind of for a long time went underneath that bar, since January, and I had like a breakout hit with my No Mercy and Virtual Pro Wrestling 2 one, which hit over 1,000, which was awesome, almost 2,000 actually. And with my recent Revenge versus Thunder is currently sitting at around 4.8 thousand, and the most recent Day of Reckoning and No Mercy video is almost at 3,500, and it's still steadily growing. So I definitely appreciate the support there. I still plan on releasing them at the beginning of each month as usual until the end of the year, but I plan on expanding the series for the next year. I'm just not sure exactly what that's going to entail, so well, I'll just keep you updated when that happens. But I wanted to say thank you for the recent support, and hopefully I can continue to entertain y'all with some quality content for years to come. But with all that boring stuff out of the way, we can continue with the fun stuff, and don't worry, I won't bring up any of these things in the future videos until, my planned update, probably at the end of the year. So my question of the day is, since we are playing as the Nature Boy Ric Flair, who is one of the greatest of all time, he's got to be, top 5, I would think. He's probably also, I would argue, he definitely deserves a spot on the Mount Rushmore of greatest of all time. But what match was, in your opinion, the greatest Ric Flair match in your eyes? Mine, especially since I am a WWE mark, would most certainly have to be his retirement match at WrestleMania 24. I mean, it was a great storyline in the lead up, but him and Shawn Michaels put on one of the best spectacles I've ever seen, even if the winner was obviously going to be predictable. I mean, that's how, that was obviously what the storyline was about. He's going to retire eventually at WrestleMania and stuff, and it was really cool. He went on that undefeated streak for the longest time, and he had his match with Vince McMahon. I think it was like the Monday Night Raw right before WrestleMania 24. The only thing I didn't really like about that one is that he had to rely on interference to win, because I mean it's Vince McMahon. Let's be honest. Like, there should be no question who would have won that one. But I mean, other than that, I mean, it was like, just a fantastic match. Very great spectacle. So much emotion involved in it. It's just too bad though that after he retired, oh, we got a tap out, figure 4 leg lock. Chee, yeah. That's what I like to see, folks. But yeah, I remember, the tears at the end when the match ending move was happening, and it's just too bad Flair had so much debt, I believe, because of all of his divorces, unfortunately, that he had to continue working after the fact, in TNA, and then when he was a manager in WWE, I mean, that was cool, no issues there. Obviously, he has his issues nowadays and stuff, and with moving on past, being the big star in the spotlight and stuff like that. I know he had that recent AEW run, and I don't know, I seen like the clip of him beating up, I think it was the Young Bucks, and it was just kind of sad to see. And I think the most disturbing comment I seen was how he wished, I don't think he said he wished, but he wouldn't, I think he wanted to go by dying in the ring. And obviously that final retirement match, apparently he had like a heart attack, I think, during the match or something. So very scary stuff, and I don't know. The best meme I think I've seen was somebody took the picture of Ric Flair from his last match and put it next to a picture of Mermaid Matt. So dirty, but like, I don't know. It's just one of those things where, you kind of wish it ended at WrestleMania 24, so it would have the perfect ending. Same with Shawn Michaels, losing to Undertaker at WrestleMania 26. You wish he didn't come back for that Saudi Arabia money, but he did, and that match was a huge disaster, of course. But I don't know, I think just those matches in particular, like, it's a different energy, but it was like a one-of-a-kind feeling for those matches, like just like Hogan and Rock at WrestleMania 18. Like, there's never going to be any replication of those kind of matches with the same emotions, But without spoilers, I would have to say it was what I consider knuckin' futz. But obviously, Ric Flair's greatest contests were in NWA and WCW due to those years being his prime, so I'd love to hear some recommendations, or if you do think his best match was in WWE, share that too. Alright, I'm going to try and go for the figure 4 leg lock here again. Prove who the real submission specialist is here. I think the one cool thing that I did like about Number, it was good and bad at the same time, right? Like, it is kind of annoying, like in the AKI series, like for this, I could probably roll him over and do a different submission or something like that, but, oh yeah, yeah, we got another one. But it was cool in No Mercy that, you had special finishers, you know, for like the Waltz of Jericho, the Crippler Crossface, Ken Shamrock's ankle lock. But like I think there's benefits and negatives to both of those. Because like obviously, I wish like the submission specials were just stronger. Like obviously, if you don't work on the body part, you know, during the match, obviously they shouldn't, you know, get an instant knockout or an instant tap out or anything like that. But I feel like they made it harder to kind of damage limbs in No Mercy. Like in WrestleMania 2000, if you kept punching someone over and over and over and over again in the head, eventually they'd hold their heads. But in No Mercy, that would only happen if you specifically worked on their head in like a grapple situation. I think that kind of messed that whole system up a little bit. And No Mercy, especially for AIs, because you know they never updated the AI in that game for, you know, Chris Jericho and Chris Benoit to, you know, to work specific body parts, so that way when they did bust out their specials, you know, it would end the match. You know, I tried so many times when I was doing the Saturday Slam Fest. I really wanted to do an ultimate submission match, and every single time the AI just was not smart enough to A, understand that pin was turned off, and B, you know, it just never got to the, like, it would take like 30 minutes before, you know, a single submission would happen. And you know, sure, if you're watching a real life match, that's awesome, and I'm sure there's definitely some fans out there, you know, they're just a big fans of the AKI games, that they wouldn't mind seeing like a half-hour match or something like that, but you know, or an hour-long ultimate submission thing. But you know, the majority of people, you know, I think 10 minutes is probably like the sweet spot for me. Is probably like, you know, like 7 to 10 minutes on those videos and stuff like that. But I don't know, at the same time too, like I said, I mean, it does kind of get annoying in these early games in which you know, you're kind of doing the same submission over and over again until eventually they tap. You know, as someone might say, that doesn't really work for me, brother. Alright, maybe we can get a cheap pin out of here. But once again, you know, I mentioned it before pretty much in all my videos, and some things I will repeat, obviously, because it's just worth mentioning. Oh boy, I don't remember this move being in the game. I'm sure they probably got rid of it after, you know, they added the Tree of Woe and as a specific, you know, jeez, I can't even think of what I'm trying to say. As a specific, you know, type of move or position for the corner in WrestleMania 2000, so that's probably why I don't remember seeing that, but that was pretty cool. But yeah, what I was going to mention again is, you know, in this game specifically, and I think I've heard that it might be in Virtual Pro Wrestling 64, the same mechanic, it just wasn't mentioned, is, you know, you really got to make sure that, you know, you get those early pin attempts in, so that way when you're ready to end the match is over with. Because once you get that out of the way, I mean, you don't even need a finisher in most situations to end the match. And it just kind of sucks that this is like the worst the worst finisher in the entire series. Like, it doesn't even knock him down. I was trying to do a running grapple. It didn't seem like it worked. Uh-oh. This could be bad. He's starting to go on the offense, and he's got a lot of momentum here, folks. This could be bad. But, like, even here, like I was talking about earlier, the example, like, he's holding his body right now. I didn't really work on his body. It's just something like the limb damage, you know, he took eventually from my other attacks caused him to, you know, start holding his body. And that was something that was missing in No Mercy for whatever reason. Alright, we're going to have to, you know, taunt and get our momentum back up. And I think this taunt, too, like his main taunt, was only featured in, I forget if it was in WrestleMania 2000 or not. I know it was in No Mercy, and probably in Virtual Pro Wrestling, too. We got the classic vase gouge. I always wondered why they didn't have, like, the mask ripping feature return in the WCW NWO Revenge, because it came back in Virtual Pro Wrestling 2, and I feel like it just would have fit so perfectly in the Revenge game. But here we go. We got another victory, folks. And that was a close one. I was almost a Beano Max sandwich, but I got it, folks. got the victory, the dub. Alright, now we got the stinger here for our match tonight. Man, that pyro was blinding. Another cool thing was this. Yeah, the whole voice files for characters and stuff. And I don't know, I think some people would make the argument that, you know, just guys don't have iconic voice files as much. There we go, I wanted to get this freaking bat. But I don't know, like I think it'd be cool if like in WrestleMania 2000, like you're doing Stone Cold's, you know, with that press, and then he, you know, you hear him yell, "Oh hell yeah," when he's getting up. Kind of like an attitude thing, right? Like they kind of prove that, you know, guys can talk during matches and it'd be funny and cool and make sense. Maybe like some sort of voice file for The Rock when he hits the people's elbow, or you know, does the startup animation, calling you a Rudy Poo. Or do you smell what The Rock is cooking or something like that? They definitely could have fit something in there. Oh no, now we got freaking Eric Bischoff. This is pretty much just a slaughter at this point. Alright, and we already got Eric Bischoff out of the match, man. Like, you even trying, Bischoff? Or like, what's going on here? Come on now. Yeah, this is just a this is just a straight up burial here. Sting, you even trying? Come on, man. Alright, now he's out of the ring and stuff. I always wonder how the EI wins in like count out and like when you simulate matches and stuff like that, because like I've never seen AI where like they aren't trying to get into the ring, especially at 5. So something, and like they never stay outside the ring long enough, like down, groggy and stuff like that. I think it's like impossible for like how long it takes. Alright, well the weapon's been dropped, folks, so our fun with this has been over. Let's see here, I'll have to... Alright, so this is his back special. Chee! Yeah. So, you know, sometimes you can definitely damage them before, you know, you get a pin, so that way you don't have to do the freaking pins early on to, you know, combat the freaking pin system and stuff like that. But that said, it's still usually just smarter to get that, you know, or I should say more smart, you know, that freaking regular show episode always corrected me on that. Check that grammar, bro. That, you know, I think it's just a lot smarter, more smart, Jesus Christ, I'm an idiot. It's just more smart to, you know, just try and get those pinfall attempts out of the way early. And I don't know if it's like, you know, just any 2 pinfall attempts work or not, because I feel like there are times where like they'll kick out early, you know, maybe I'll get a 1 count or something like that, and then I can get a pin. But then there are other times where like I'll pin them 3 times, I get no count, and then like they end up kicking out later anyway when they definitely should be, you know, down for the count. Man, Jim Neidhart though for the world title path? At least with Meng, right? Like he's a legit badass. Like he's not someone... I'm not going to question him because I treasure my nose, right? I don't want to see what other things he's capable of. Oh, shit. One thing I always wondered too, and I don't really... I might be an idiot for this. Like, obviously there's like nicknames. Okay, yeah, it's 20 count. Which I never really understood, personally. I mean, maybe it's just a gameplay mechanic they thought would make matches last longer, but... I don't know, it's always been 10 for me. Maybe it's like an old school rule and I just don't know about it. No, 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 no! Oh, I was gonna try and get a cheap count-out victory here. So I am the dirtiest player in the game right now. But one thing I never understood was the nickname the Nature Boy. What the hell does that even mean? Is it supposed to be ironic? Because like obviously he lives like the complete opposite lifestyle. I know it was like, I think it was Buddy Rogers who had the nickname first. But even with him, like I think there was like 3 or 4 Nature Boys or something like that. So, and I just never really understood what that nickname kind of what it was meant to represent. So I don't know, if somebody knows down below in the comments, you know, let me know what the Nature Boy, like what represents, what it stands for. And you know, obviously it's the jet flying, profiling, limousine riding, wheeling dealing, woman stealing, son of a gun. I'm sure I got that all mixed up, but some of the best stuff too on Facebook. I just see these reels where it's like there's a Dusty Rhodes no context and there's a Ric Flair no context. You know, they'll just, it doesn't make any sense because like the whole point of the videos is they just add some random context to it, to like Ric Flair and Dusty Rhodes promos, and it's just the funniest stuff. Because it'll be like something like when you do something like when you piss off your dad, and that's just like a video of Ric Flair screaming about how he's like the man of the house or something stupid like that. How you shouldn't have done that. So just really weird, funny clips and stuff like that. Like I think there was one where it was like Dusty Rhodes and he said, when you don't finish all your food and stuff like that. So your dad just says, you know, his promo of like, I've dined with kings and queens and I've dined on pork and beans. You know, really funny, stupid stuff. It's a really odd but funny looking taunt too. I remember I watched Ric Flair was just so out of his mind in WCW. I remember I watched a match with him and like the Giant in WCW, and just for some reason, even like you would think he would take like, you know, okay, you know, it's the Giant, I'm taking him seriously, but the whole match he's just getting his ass kicked, and every time anything happens he just keeps like doing his weird ass strutting and dancing and stuff. What the hell, he's bleeding? Yeah, I thought he was didn't have blood for a second there, but it's just like the goofiest match I've ever seen. And honestly, like I know a lot of people hate it. I honestly thought that yeah, he's got no running grapples, so just had to double check. But I know a lot of people really hated it, but I really thought his crazy run was funny in 1999 WCW. And we got another one, folks. Jim Neidhart is down. Alright, let's check out the score. Alright, I guess I'm just not doing very good because I'm not getting high scores whatsoever. Oh man, Scott Hall, the bad guy, the outsider at this time. Good God, that pyro is blinding. It's cool though that I think everybody has like unique pyro in this game. And if it's not unique, like there's definitely different pyro for different guys and stuff like that. There's just too much to cover, honestly. Maybe it has something to do with the faction, I don't know. Alright, I think I might go back to the figure 4 leg lock here. It's been a while, but I gotta get him to stay down. I don't know. What'd you guys think of Ric Flair's crazy run though in 1990? I think it was 98, and then it went into 99. I don't know. I honestly thought like as far as like a main eventer goes, like honestly it was not good in presenting him that way. But I think those whenever I see those clips of him just acting all nuts in the mental hospital and like the other crazy dudes at, you know, doing the strut with him and stuff like that, I think that's all pretty great stuff. Very funny. I'll give him this, like when it's not really over the top and like stupid sexual or, you know, just out of bad taste or something like that. I think that the you know, Vince Russo humor and stuff like that, especially, I think it can work. But I think it's you know, there's a lot of funny ones, but I think he just eventually went too far with stuff. And you know, unfortunately, you know, there were the guys like The Rock and Triple H, you know, who were probably more comfortable with saying yes or no to certain things when it came to like, you know, a script that was, you know, the bullet points that were given to you know, them as far as what they were doing that night, and obviously they would go off script, and you know what made that rivalry so good was, you know, it was eventually kind of turned into like legit, you know, trash talking to each other. Man, that didn't make him tap. But then, you know, you guys got like Beaver Cleavage and Chad, so like he can't really say no to anything to what's going on. Dan the Beast Severn would have had the number of the Beast and the Undertaker's Ministry. Gee, yeah, we got another one, folks. Alright. I think that taunt is in the later games, but I think like his regular taunt where like he, I don't know, does the excited, you know, like yeah thing or whatever. I can't really, you know, the thing with his arms doesn't show up again, but I could be wrong because I think there's only one version of the taunt in No Mercy. Rick Steiner, the dog-faced gremlin. Man, those tights are shiny. Alright, let's see what this guy's all made of. This could be a quick one. I feel like when it comes to Rick Steiner, I usually end the matches pretty quick against him, but maybe those are false memories or something like that. I think he was the one who was involved in the freaking Judy Bagwell on a pole match, and I think he was the one who won the tag team titles with Judy Bagwell, I remember too. And WCW was pretty crazy. It does suck because like since WWE are like the guys that are like won the war and stuff like that, they kind of control the narrative. That like they only really a lot of times show the bad of what WCW did, but you know WCW honestly like they got as popular as they did because of all the right that they did. I feel like that doesn't get talked about enough, and even if it does, it's like, you know, halfway through they are already talking about why it didn't work out and how it went on for too long. I mean, all that stuff is well documented, but WCW is something that I would like to check out one of these days. You know, maybe like starting in the Nitro era, you know, like 95 and so on and so forth. I probably should have. Wrestling Bios is really good, like reliving the war stuff, and I think he started in like 1995, and he already is almost done, if he isn't done already. So I remember he was in like the year 2000 with his reviews, and I don't know how often he does it. Like I thought it was like a weekly thing, and time escapes me, so maybe it's already been like he actually has done it. It's like a 5-year series at this point, but that just seems too crazy to me that it would be at this time. But like I said, I don't watch it, so I don't know what the schedule would be, and I'm not sure if he does a Thunder and SmackDown one or not. I don't think he does. And I hate how like the AI is just so good at just moving to the left or the right to dodge your hits. They don't even try and block it. It just makes it more insulting. Alright, let's see here. Maybe I can end this before I get to the special state. Alright, we're heading with the suplex. Let's get in with the figure 4 and end this. Gee, yeah, we got another one here, folks. Rick Steiner. You even trying? Alright, this one's got to be a little bit of a better score, right? Yeah, see, 7,500. And here we are, folks. We're at the championship match. Imagine that. The #1 contender was Rick Steiner. Ooh. And of course, we got Roddy Piper here, folks. It always irritated me in WrestleMania 2000 that you couldn't walk down the ring with belts when they already had that feature in Revenge. Obviously, the SK Styles patch, you know, that's honestly probably one of the main selling points for me. So, you know, is that they can wear belts down the ring. I think it's around their shoulders. And obviously he reactivated the light heavyweight belt, and that was pretty cool. Oh man, I missed. I thought he was going to turn towards him, but you know, it's a cool match here. We got the freaking Hot Rod, and we got the Ric Flair here. I feel like Roddy Piper, it always felt like he replaced Ric Flair in this game, as far as like, you know, who the champion would have been. And yeah, I think he definitely has his dirty tactics and stuff like that. So dirtiest player in the game and stuff like that. I gotta say though, it's always interesting to me. Like, it feels like WCW, when it came to like Starrcade, they never really got the perfect main event down. Like, you know, I think it was either 90. I think it was 95 when they had the freaking when they had Hulk Hogan versus, I think, the Zodiac or something like that, which was just ridiculous. 1996, I believe, was when it was Roddy Piper and Hulk Hogan, and I guess that was kind of cool. But it was kind of like, and you know, the two. It was really representative, like the two old guys, you know, being the top guys, and you know, it was kind of like a sign of things to come. 97, of course, was obviously the biggest freaking biggest botched finish in any match in history. You know, with how they handled Flair versus Sting. I mean, no, it was Sting versus Hogan. Like, come on, man. Like, apparently Sting didn't have a tan, and that was enough for, you know, Bischoff to be like, yeah, he's just not in the right headspace, folks. Like, oh my God. And I listened to his podcast about it, and like, yeah, he said he didn't have a tan and all this other stuff, and wasn't in the right headspace and stuff. If you're gonna do that, don't have him win. Just have him outright lose. Obviously, it would have still been the wrong decision, but don't act like it wasn't all about politicking and stuff like that. And like, he didn't really have any good explanation. Bischoff is just such a bullshitter at times too, man. It's just kind of like to the point of like, it's really frustrating. So that's why I don't really listen to his podcast too much anymore. Then in 1998, of course, that was also infamous because that's when Goldberg's streak ended, and it was through the nefarious means. And you know, then right after the fact was the finger poke of doom that led to nothing really. Then 99, after that, they had Goldberg when he accidentally, you know, ended Bret Hart's career with a concussion thing. And obviously Bret Hart wrestled after that, which didn't help. But and then 2000, I don't even remember what the main event was, honestly. That was the dark days of WCW. I don't know if it was good or not, but as you can see here, we have successfully won the WCW World Heavyweight Championship, the big gold. Still many fans' favorite titles and items of all time. So hopefully you guys got a really good perspective on what could have been had Ric Flair been in WCW NWO Revenge, the original game, because I think he did a fantastic job. RagDas did with this. I'm sure he had a lot of moveset data that was left over, but still, I mean, you know, the outfits, the taunts, the moves, all fantastic. But thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, please leave me a like and subscribe to me, Beano Mac. Tomorrow, I'll compare WCW versus NWO World Tour and WCW NWO Revenge Faces. Every Sunday, I do comparison videos, character and concept evolutions, personal rankings, and more one-off Aki videos. If you want to see a non-Aki wrestling game playthrough, check out my Kane Redemption run in WWE SmackDown Here Comes the Pain. And if you want non-wrestling playthroughs, subscribe to my Let's Play channel, Beano Max. Link in the description below. I play titles like Super Smash Bros. Brawl, Resident Evil, and Paper Mario. Above all else, though, please remember to have a nice day.